4th of July for us is pretty crazy. I don't even know if I may get in trouble for saying this, but you can get fireworks here that are pretty much illegal, actually, and we bring them back into town, which is really illegal. And we usually have a big street party, so we shoot illegal fireworks on the street. They're like humongous. They're like one click below you might get at a full-on fireworks show. So, but you set them off yourself. So it's pretty crazy here. We have a great time. We're glad we get away with our lives and our fingers. That's pretty much how it goes. One time, a couple years ago, the woman's hair in front of me was on fire, and I went, "Wow, this is a good party."
Keeping it real, blood, sweat, and steel. Oh yeah.
Kind of have been laying low, but I've got a new country record, and that's kind of what I have been doing. I've been doing that for quite a few years now, actually, and just writing songs in the country genre, more to pitch to other artists than myself. And so, but it kind of evolved into this new record that I have, which is, again, just songs I was meant to be pitched. I had never meant to do a country record, really, because I kind of liked just doing the writing and not doing so much of the performing, but it ended up being me doing this record. So
the times have changed since I was grown. All these kids.
Let's just say that out of the gate. I grew up without TV in my house, so music has been a huge thing, and radio was a ginormous thing for me. And every Saturday for us was American Country Countdown. Every Sunday was American Top 40. So I got music from all sides, and I'm a country boy in heart. Anyway, I grew up on the country. I grew up driving tractors and raising horses and cows. I had a lot of country upbringing, actually. You might not suspect that if you know Fuel, but that's kind of where I came from. And so it's just getting back to a little bit. Plus, my dad was a guest of honor when we were back on the tour with the band Fuel for an annual family reunion, and I couldn't be there because I was on tour, and I wrote this song called Dad. Now, I'm not going to write a rock song for my dad because he's not going to listen to that. And so that was kind of the starting point, actually, because I realized at that point I could write songs in the country genre that you couldn't really touch on in the rock genre. And so it was kind of really kind of fun, and I kind of enjoyed doing that. And so you combine my country roots with a song about my dad, and then I start continuing to write more and more country. You kind of get to where I am today.
Your hand was always there to catch me if I drifted.
It means the world to me. I mean, I lost my dad then in 2010, so he heard the song, so that was important, because some people were like, "Oh, I wish your dad had heard it." And I said, no, he has heard that song. But yeah, that song is very personal to me. I wrote it specifically for my dad. Again, I was on tour. He was the guest of honor at an annual family reunion, and I sent a video of me performing that song. You can actually see the actual video I sent my dad for the family reunion there on Facebook called Music. I just posted it actually just a couple of days ago, the actual video of that song. And it's written specifically for him, and it has all our family stuff in it. And I wanted him to hear himself in that song, and I wanted him to recognize himself in the song. And so it's specifically for him. And so that also was part of why I ended up doing a country record as well, and doing it all myself, because really nobody could sing that song necessarily because it was so personal to myself and to my dad. And so another artist maybe trying to cover that song would be, it's not his story exactly,
On Dad, I thank you. Dad, I've tried. I'll always hold you.
That's a funny story about that song in some ways. I've been writing a lot of different songs and really delving into some heavier material as far as topics. And I'm just going to write a song. I don't care. I'm just going to write this song that's a little bit, that doesn't have a lot of as much depth, and it's just more of a boy meets girl kind of song. And it was actually kind of out of frustration that I wrote that song. And I said, I'm just going to write this stupid song and not think about it too much. And that song came out, and so I went, well, maybe I should be doing that more often because it was just more of a song I just let roll out instead of kind of fussing with it too much. And sometimes I know how it is. I've written so many songs that if you fuss with a song too much, you're probably going to get diminishing returns. So it's kind of and Kiss was that kind of song where I just kind of wrote it from the hip a little bit more, shot from the hip on that one, and it came out really nice actually. And I think it's a great song for me, and it's more like you said earlier, you and I were discussing, it's more on the modern side of what country is, opposed to some of the songs. A few songs on there are a little more on the classic side of country.
It should feel like a whoa, whoa, whoa. this slow burning moment of bliss. Let's just start with the kids. Let's just start with the kids.
Yeah, I've been doing demos for, even for my other band, Fuel, I was doing demos for those way back. I've been doing them for years, and because I always like to know what I've got before I go into the studio. I used to hear guys say, we're going to the studio to write a record, and I'm like, wow, that's an expensive way to figure out if you have a record or not. So for me, I was always trying to do demos, full demos together, and so it's just a natural evolution for this record. Even when I would write with writers in Nashville, I would come back with a full-blown version of the song from the session, from the writing session. And so some of those songs are actually the writing session demos that I came out of a writing session with, went back home and put these demos together. There's a song on there called Stoned, which is just a straight-out demo. There's a song on there called Last of the Country Boys. There's a song on there called Runaway. All those are my writing session demos that once I got out of the session, I went back, spent a day or so putting that song together. And so it's just kind of a natural evolution for me. So yeah, I ended up then singing all these as well. So everything you hear is pretty much what I have done. Even the drums were there before, and I just had them replaced with the real drummer just to get a little different feel for the drums. But yeah, everything's there. It's me. And so that's been fun as well, man. Just doing everything on your own has been fun because I don't have to think about, am I working too long? I've been in here for 18 hours. Is this guy tired? I don't have to think about that. It's just me. So that's kind of fun as well.
Let's make some waves of our own. We're gonna.
That's one of my favorites too. I'm glad you gravitated to that one because I never know what people are going to like and what they aren't. But I like Let It Roll too. I just started with this riff, and it's actually, I don't want to almost hate to tell you this, but it actually was a electronic dance music kind of riff in the beginning. The little dun 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 is almost comes from, you could say, electronic dance music. I had heard that, and I said, that little pattern might work well for a country song. And if I hadn't have told you that, you might have never gotten that. But that's kind of where the origin of that song came from, and I started writing a song from those, just from the bass patterns of an electronic dance song. And I thought the song turned out really well. I put the lyrics to it, did everything to it. Again, I've written so many songs over my lifetime. It was nice to kind of take that and put a country feel to it, and I thought it turned out well.
We're gonna let it roll like a wave. Just let the night flow through your hair.
I'm seeing how it goes right now, Randy. I'm just, again, this is just a complete do-it-yourself project. I did everything on the record. I even mixed the record, and I put it out on my own label, basically, as well. And so I'm just waiting to see how it goes, and so far it's going very well. So yeah, there could be possibly, I have a band set up, kind of waiting to see what happens here, and if there's a demand for it, sure, we would go out and play some shows, absolutely.
His daddy saying get a real job, son.
That's tough, Daddy. That's very tough. I like a lot of what Blake Shelton, he's got some great songs. I think his songs are very well done. Of course, I like the producing that has been done in there with Scott Hendricks, and, Justin Niebank is recording them. I like a lot of what Blake does and a lot of his songs, but, there's a lot of good stuff. That's very hard to pin down. I was big fans of course, they're not on Big Wooden Tour, but I was big fans of, like, Restless Heart way back in the day and Steve Warner way back in the day. I like that kind of stuff too, but that would be tough. That's a tough question. Wow. That's hard to say. We toured with Aerosmith. We opened up for Aerosmith, which was amazing. And I remember one time on stage looking over, probably the second night we were opening up for Aerosmith, and looking over and seeing my guys and looking at us and knowing how long it had taken us and how much work we had done to get to there, and then realizing we were opening up for Aerosmith. That was a cool moment. But there's just so many. There's a lot of cool moments. We had quite a bit of success. That's a tough one, too. There's just, the good times. You really miss the good times that you had in that band, for sure.
We'll find a way to chase our dreams down, push all our chips in and leave.
It took me a while. Let me tell you, it took me a while to forget. I was writing these songs to, I was fine being in the background, but my old manager called me up and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I've got these country songs." And he heard the country songs, and he was like, "Dude, you've got to do these." And we went through years, literally, of him trying to make me do this. And finally, I said, "Yeah, let's just do it." So it wasn't an easy decision for me as well, because I figured there would be some resistance as well to people knowing from the past. But again, most people didn't know I grew up on a farm driving tractors. So, there's that. I mean, some people call it a studio. I guess others would call it a studio. For me, it's a room in my house of music. Because for me, the studio's got, the SSL consoles and the big room for the drums. And mine's just a room. But I guess that's where we're at today in this world. You can actually do it on a small scale. It hasn't changed a lot necessarily, my way of doing it, because I've been doing that. I used to do that in hotel rooms back in the day when we were out with Fuel. I would have a full Pro Tools set up in my room. Other guys would be going out and have fun that night, and what are you doing? I'm like, I got to stay here and write, So that really hasn't changed a lot, actually, for me, because I've been doing it this way for years and years now. And so, again, it's liberating and it's fun, and I can work as many hours as I want or short as hours as I want. That's fun. But otherwise, it really hasn't changed a lot because I've been doing it this way for a long time.
And a bad day.
That's tough too. All right, let's say for an electric, I've got an old Gibson, the same Gibson I've used forever, that silver Gibson that has a 69 on it. That's one of my faves that I've used forever. It just has the tone you always want. I have for an acoustic, I have a composite acoustic guitar, which is a graphite guitar that I love. It never goes out of tune because it's graphite. It's not wood. Love that guitar. It's amazing. And then I've got like a G&L ASAT Classic for a tele sound, for the country sound, that I love as well. So there's three. It's hard to go to just one, man.
And she
Carl Bell Music on Facebook. It's Facebook, Carl Bell Music. Or you can go to carlbellmusic.com. I'm starting to get a little bit more on the Twitters and on the Instagrams, but that's not necessarily my thing. But mostly on Facebook, if you go to Carl Bell Music, you'll get a lot of information. You'll get the video you talked about describing the transition from myself from rock to country. And, there's a lot of information right there. You can download it from all the major sites, iTunes, it's on Amazon. You can actually order a physical CD if you want to off of carlbellmusic.com if you go to the store, if you want a physical CD, because I didn't really think there would be that much demand for a physical CD, but there is. So it's available now. But anywhere you can normally buy music, you can find it there. I've got a lot of support from, a lot of people. That's kind of nice too. I'm reconnecting with a lot of people that I grew up with as well, just from the record. And I think that video you talked about, the little EPK video that's on the website, people, that know me back in those days really connected with that as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting project, man. Very interesting.